As a novice, I ran Comrades and finished with 3 minutes to spare, and I got this medal. This is my story. So I'd qualified for Comrades in Group F. That meant I'd run a time between 4 hours and 4:20. I really wanted to break 4 and get into Group D, but it just didn't happen on qualification day. So there I was. Now, unfortunately, at Comrades, I was in a tour group, and we were all travelling in a bus together to get to the race start in Pietermaritzburg. A lot of people were late getting in that bus. We were late leaving. The traffic was horrendous. We got there to the start late. So even though I was in Group F, I was right at the back. I might as well have been in Group G. Here's me at the start, soaking up the atmosphere. It was fantastic with the African songs. Now, at this point, you might say, hang on, didn't you already make a 2018 video? Yeah, I did. But when I made that video back in 2018, I made it to complement the story that I'd written for my friends, a race report, which in the race report, I went through all the dramas I went through in the race. And boy, there was a lot. So I'd written all that, everyone had seen it. So when I made the video, it was to complement it, and I left out some of the really interesting and really tough, horrible, the journey I went on. So today, what I want to do is go and talk about that because I hope you find it interesting. I've spoken in public to others. They certainly enjoyed it. And it really is a tale of one man's journey going through the depths of despair and finding a way through. So the race did start. That was great. But back so far, nothing happens. Eventually you start moving. Eventually you cross the line. Now, when you hear people talk about this at Comrades, they go, oh, and off you go. At Pietermaritzburg, it's not like that. You cross the start line, but you're still walking. So I walked for a bit. Then it was just so crowded you couldn't run. Eventually we could run, and then we were away and off into the Pietermaritzburg dark. So away we went. Eventually I was travelling all right, and as time went on, I started to feel quite confident. I was running well. Everything seemed to be going great. I was feeling comfortable. And I thought, I've trained well. I'm going to run well today. I'm going to go and get this medal. I might even get a bronze medal. I feel so good. How long's this race been around? I could be getting a green number today. I'm so good. So there I am, full of confidence. Going along, and then I get to Inchanga, the edge of the knife. And this is a massive hill. And I'm walking up that hill, and now I'm really struggling. People are running past me. People are walking past me. They walk faster than me. I walk slow. I didn't know. Now I found out. Not a good time to find out, but I did. So I lost a lot of confidence. I got really worried now. All my dreams of greatness were gone. I thought, I've just got to try and finish this race. I'm certainly not going to get anywhere near a bronze medal. Eventually we got to the crest, and then we started heading down into Drummond. Drummond's halfway. But on the way down, I cramped. So there I am. I'm in a 90k race, haven't quite got to halfway, and I'm already cramping. I am in a world of hurt here. So I managed to beg some salt from some people at a braai, a barbecue as we call it here in Australia, by the side of the road. They were very kind, helped me out. Got that, got into halfway, and then you enter this massive series of climbs up to a place called Alverston. It really is a demanding leg. I hated it. I thought it was just me. I found out later, everyone hates this leg. Anyway, there it is, you've got to do it. So I walked when it was climb. If there were any flat or down bits, I did run those as best I could. Eventually I got to the top of the Alverston climb. Now you're at about the crest point of the race, and then you can start heading down. You could say the so-called down run really starts here. You're 50 odd Ks into the 90k race now. So heading down, there's some big descents that blow your quads to smithereens. It is really hard on them, and I'm really struggling. This is the longest run I've ever done now, and I'm in a world of hurt. So I just tried to hang in there and keep going. Ran down Bothas Hill, and then lo and behold, 12-hour pacer group. South Africa, they call them buses. They caught up with me. When I saw this group, I'd set the scene. I'd run a number of marathons before Comrades, and in those marathons, I'd been caught by pacing groups a lot. Every time a pacing group had caught me, I had never seen them again. So, 12-hour group passes me. They're running to the 12-hour finish. But, oh dear, I've got to hang with these guys because that's my race. If they get away from me, I'm done. So, 12-hour pacing group or bus, they were there. I joined them. I sat with them for probably a couple of K. And eventually, it just got too hard. And I let them go. So, now I'm in despair. Put in the context, I've trained for 6 months for this race. I've had to selfishly take my holidays, left my family at home. I've spent all this money to come. And going to fail. I started a new job. The marketing department people rang me up, asked me work things, but they also asked me about some personal stuff, and I told them I was doing this race in South Africa. They made that the centerpiece of something they put on their website. And then it was heavily shared on LinkedIn. I've been promoting, I'm going over to South Africa and going to do this race, and I'm not even going to finish. How humiliating. I went to the expo. That was great. I bought 4 t-shirts. I won't even be able to wear these t-shirts. How embarrassing. People ask me about the race. I go, oh yeah, I went to the expo. I didn't finish the race. I can't wear these shirts. This whole thing, I've been dreaming of doing this race for years, and now I'm going to fail. What a disaster. I was in a terrible spot. So the only positive I had at that moment was that one of my friends from my running club here in Melbourne, a guy called Scott, he said, look, at Comrades, if it's not going your way, you can't quit. No one will talk to you if you quit. What you have to do is you have to keep going to a cutoff. If you get to a cutoff and you can't get through, there's a series of cutoffs along the way. You don't get through, then you're out. That's it. But don't just give up mid-section. You got to go to a cutoff and then you can be taken out. And so, okay. I thought, well, I'm going to fail here, so I'll just go to the cutoff and I'll get taken out there. So off I went, kept going, as best I could. And I got to the cutoff. I actually got through quite a bit of time to go. I'm like, oh, hang on. This is not quite as bad as I thought. And now, fortunately, I've written the cutoffs on my arm. Here they are. So with those cutoffs, I could then, I'd only written them on a whim. I'd written the last one and I thought I'd add another one anyway. I put the whole lot on there. So then that became a race because I'm like, okay, well, what's the next cutoff? Look down at my arm, see what do I have to do, and head towards that. So did that. Then, lo and behold, what should appear but another 12-hour bus. Oh, okay. It's not quite as bad as I thought. Well, I'll stick with these guys for a bit. So I stuck with them for a bit, but eventually, again, it got too hard, and they just punched me off. So I let them go, and I just kept going. And now I was mindful, had to make my next cutoff. I did. I thought, okay, it's not too bad here. I think maybe I'm not out. Maybe I can make the stadium at least. I make the last cutoff. So I kept going. I tried to up the pace a bit. And I managed to. I came to Cowies Hill, and there, this is kind of strange. It was important to me, there was a guy on the side of the road there just cheering people, as they do, and he saw me, and he was an Afrikaans accent, and he goes, "Go get your medal, Trevor." And the way he said it, it just sounded like he was so confident I could do it. And he just had a look about him like he was a former Comrades runner or something. There's just something about this guy. He didn't look like he'd staggered out of a pub. He looked like a fair dinkum runner who knew what was going on. And he thought I was going to finish. I guess for him it was just a throwaway comment. I mean, I don't know how many people he cheered and spoken to and all that stuff. But for me, that actually meant a lot. I thought, hang on, this bloke seems to know what he's talking about. I reckon I can finish this race. So I then really started to believe, and I walked up Cowies Hill with confidence starting to grow. I thought, well, hang on, I've just got to make this next cutoff here. So I did that. I upped the pace a bit to try and make sure I could get to that cutoff with a bit of time. I'm going along though, and then what turns up? Another bus. Blowing me down, it's the third bus. And now I thought, well, how many more of these things have these people got? Surely they can't have more than 3 12-hour buses. This must be the last one, and I'm going to have to get... So I hooked in with them and stayed there. And wouldn't say it was a barrel of laughs, but I was doing that. And then we were coming down this slope, and for whatever reason, the leader decided that we were going to go sub 6 minute Ks. Now, I could have paid all my cash right there and then to stick with them. And but we still had a long way to go. I'm not sure how far it was from here. It might have been 15 kilometres. I mean, that's a long way when you've done 75 already. So this is madness. I don't know what this bloke's about leading this group, but I'm going to leave him to it. That's so crazy. So I dropped out of the group, let them do their sub 6 minute Ks, and then kept going. So there's that. Next thing that happens is I can see some movement out of the corner of my eye. I look over there, and some minibuses behind me, just behind me. Well, hang on, what's going on here? And then the penny drops. If you pull out of the race in South Africa, they call you a bailer. And then they put you in a minibus. They call them the bailer buses. These were bailer buses. It's the Grim Reaper of Comrades. And they're right behind me, chasing me. Like, okay, well, if there was any doubt that I wasn't very close to the end of the field, those thoughts were eliminated now. I was right at the back. People behind me are dropping out left, right, and centre. You know, there's not many finishers behind me now. So, great. Anyway, I didn't let that get to me by now. So much had happened. I'm like, well, I'm hanging in there. I'm still keeping going. So I kept going. Now, we had the last cutoff was 9K from the finish. And they give you, if you come in on the bell, they give you an hour to get from there to the stadium. Now, Dean and I, my mate Dean, we talked about that. And I knew, well, I thought it was impossible, actually. But Dean didn't think it was impossible. Dean just thought it would hurt a heck of a lot. And that distinction, that actually meant a lot to me, because I started thinking in different terms and thinking, well, gee, that might be possible. But you wouldn't want to do it. You want to give yourself a bit more buffer than that. So I had this plan that if I can come through there with 75 minutes to go, I reckon that's the least time that I want, 75 minutes. Come through on there, and I reckon I'll at least be well placed. So that's the plan. I was trying to do that, and I got there, and was actually went through 72 minutes to go. Now, I was thinking, well, I wanted 75, I'll take 72. I reckon it's enough. It's not what I wanted, but it's enough. I can do it. So I then said, right, this is where you suck it up. you know, take the pain for glory. Don't leave anything in the tank. So I really then ran hard. It did hurt, but it was where it matters. So I did that. Now there's a few things here of importance. So I mentioned the cramping. That cramping didn't go away. I've been cramping on and off since Drummond. You know, it's causing me a lot of grief. So that was a problem. When I started to go faster, I cramped. Then the other thing is, when I'd signed up for the race, I thought it was 89 kilometres, and it was going to end at the Kingsmead cricket ground, famous cricket ground there in Durban. Well, for whatever reason, they decided to finish at the football ground. Now, the football ground is not next to the cricket ground. It's somewhat distance away, and that meant, with some other tweaks they did for the route, meant the race was now 90 kilometres. It didn't matter so much when I signed up, but now, well, this is the difference could be the difference between me finishing and not. And so I had to run past the cricket ground, and I just had to put that out of my mind, because I thought, hang on, if you put any thought about injustice and anything silly like that, all these things that are outside of your control, you'll guarantee you will not finish. The race finishes at the football ground. I'm running to the football ground. The cricket ground is irrelevant. I didn't even look at it as I came past. I just kept going. So there I am. I was still going. Now, cramping. So I talked about the cramping at Drummond, just before Drummond. Well, that wasn't the end of the story. That was just the start. I'd been cramping on and off the whole way, begging salt as I went. There was a lot of pain. It was a real battle. Well, this last leg, what I quickly found out was that if I tried to run faster than a certain pace, I would cramp. So I had to run slow enough to not cramp. But then, fortunately, as luck would have it, I figured out that that would still be fast enough to just finish inside the 12-hour cutoff, although it was going to be tight. Now, I knew I was going to freak out all my friends and family who were watching this from various other parts of the world. They'd want me to finish comfortably, but I knew if I ran faster, they might think it was all right for a bit, but once I cramped, I could easily be out of the race with a really bad cramp, because I had a very thin margin of error here. So that's what I did. I just focused on that and tried to manage the cramps as best I could. So I'm doing that, and then I've just got a few Ks to go now. And lo and behold, what happens now? You think I'd run out of things to go wrong. I got a low battery warning on my GPS. Now, I know some people live by their GPSs. I'm not really a live by your GPS kind of guy. I mean, it's useful, but, you know, that's that. I don't need it to run. But in this case, knowing exactly how far you got left to go and knowing what speed you're going is very important when you've only got a minute or two to spare, maybe. You don't want to be mucking around. So I was really, really concerned when that happened. I didn't have an alternative timepiece, so this was it. So this was a big problem. Anyway, so fortunately I was looking at that thinking, is this going to conk out any minute? Anyway, I've just got to keep running. So I kept running. I had to have walk breaks to rest my legs with the cramping as well. So I did that. Then suddenly, 1,500 metres to go. I've got 11 minutes. Great. Then I'm coming to the outside of the stadium. Now, it's a 90k race. I've been going at this point, 11 hours 50 something. And probably for the first time, I'm starting to think, hang on, I think I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to finish here and get it done. I'm going to break 12 hours and get this medal. I can't believe it. No sooner had that thought bounced around my brain, and then I got the world's biggest cramp. You can imagine the emotion. I was just so angry. So I wouldn't recommend this, but this is what I did. I yelled abuse at my leg. It then stopped cramping. Go figure. I then ran on again. I ran into the stadium. Now, I don't know what was going on in my brain, but it seemed like there was no one outside the stadium. The stadium was chockers full of runners. They all seemed to be walking to the finish line. I thought, man, I'm not doing that. I've come this far. I'm going to finish with some style. So I then ran to the finish, zigging and zagging through the crowd, looking up in the crowd for my mates. I could see, well, see, I got the glasses on. I didn't have the glasses on then. I could see who I thought was my mate Rick, but I was never quite sure and still haven't quite figured it out. But I'm pumping my chest and waving my arms like a madman, like a mug lair. And just unbelievable that I've shown the courage to get this done when I thought I was done. So I've come across the line. It's just gone 11:57. And that's it. I've finished the Comrades Marathon. There's still people streaming across the line behind me. There's a guy next to me. He's crouched over, burst into tears. I put my arm around him because, I felt the same. It's just all my emotion had been dragged out, gone the last 5, 6, 7 hours of this thing. So I didn't have anything left to do that. If I did have, I probably would have been. So I understood where he was at. Then I was just trying to get my medal. I got my medal. I reckon I got my medal about the same time. This is how close it was to the finish. I got it about the same time as the gun went off and the race was over. I was still on the grass of the ground when the gun went off. Then trying to head up in the stand, it did so. Rick found me. Then he looked after me. We were trying to figure out where Dean was. We eventually tracked him down. He finished well, but he ended up being put on a drip in medical. He came good quickly. He was just a little dehydrated, I think. And then we're in the tour group, so then we had to wait around for the group. And once my legs got cold, I could barely walk. But Rick looked after me, and then I just messaged everybody at home. Now, I didn't know it. The track had frozen. Just before they'd all thought that I was out, and it wasn't until I messaged them that I'd finished and done it, and there might have been an adjective or two in there, that they actually realised that I had finished. Because all my friends, it's the middle of the night back here in Australia, but they'd stayed up to watch because they couldn't turn away. So that's my story of my 2018 Comrades. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel. If you like what I do, I'm going to do a lot more of these stories about my races and videos about the interesting races I do. And of course, give me a like. You might also now enjoy the 2018 video that I did originally, which shows another side, talks about the journey of the race as well. So thanks for watching.